More reviews and lap times now from the Court Centre Heist DLC cars, and this is the it's the hold on, just give me a minute. I've got this. I've got this written down somewhere. What the hell is right, that's it. So this is the Grotti Veleno GT, which is based on the Capricorn 01 Zagato. But of course everyone knew that, because everyone knows exactly what this car is, honest. That, I'm not going to lie, was my first problem with this car. The fact that it just, at first glance, it looked like yet another really low production number, sort of super exclusive electric hypercar. That's what I thought this was. And then I started looking into the car that it's based on, which is this here. It's the Capricorn 01 Zagato, which I was surprised to find out isn't actually electric, because this is intended to be one of the last and best great analogue cars. That's what they wanted to make with this. They didn't go chasing super high downforce. There's no hybrid system on this, just a 5.2 litre V8 with a massive supercharger and some pretty impressive figures, especially when you consider all that seems to be mated to a manual gearbox, so you've got a proper analogue experience with this car. And that has transferred across to the game really well. And it's transferred across with some of its disadvantages as well, such as the fact that it tends to oversteer a little, as you'll see from this little compilation. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not saying this is a bad car. In fact, it's a really good car. But before we get to the review, let's have a look at the customization. And I've had to speed this up a little bit more than usual, because even though I am going to say the customization on this car is great, what you're seeing here is a speeded up version of me spending 10 minutes doing the customization and then driving out with a car that looks almost exactly the same as it looked when I pulled it in. And that's because the customization on this is actually surprisingly subtle. It's quite a pretty car, and instead of having all sorts of wild options that totally change what the car looks like, you know, they haven't gone for the Halfords approach where they say here's a list of things you can glue to your car. They've gone for a much better approach with actually nicely thought through customization options that just sort of tweak and improve the car. It's not often the rear bumper options actually change the angle or the location of the license plate, so it's really nice customization, I think, and this green that it came in was stunning. So I do need to talk about how I got this car, and I want to say thanks to Quite the Rhino for selling this to me. I do not have GTA Plus, and this car is hidden behind GTA Plus for a week. So I managed to buy it from him, and that's why I'm doing this customization for you now. So we'll cover whether it's worth the GTA Plus or not later, when we've just got round here to do the top speed test. Now, I've got to admit, this car in a straight line feels really quick. The handling's interesting, but as I said, I will come back to that. But in a straight line, it feels really quick. So I think the top speed test it's going to do down here is actually going to be pretty impressive. So as we come round here, this is the start line for my measured mile. For those of you that are new to the channel, I have a 1 mile section of road measured out. I go down this as quickly as I can, do a little bit of simple maths, and that gives you the average top speed that you can maintain. Not theoretical top speed, the actual top speed you can hit and maintain whilst driving through traffic. The finish line is just under here, under this sign, and as you can see, 23 seconds for the mile at a top speed of 151.8. That makes this one of the fastest cars in the entire game. And it wants to be, because I paid 3 million for this. On top of that, I then had to give an extra 1.2 million for the HSW upgrade. Then, with each of the additional HSW upgrades individually costing, 50 to 100 grand, I'm into this for well over 5 million, and that's before you even look at things like missile lock-on jammers. So this, if you're not getting it free with GTA, this is a very expensive car. But I think it's worth it. The reason I think it's worth it is because of the hypercars that we've had in the past. The recent ones, it's been things like the Pipistrello, which is pretty but rubbish, and the Vista Extreme, which again, pretty but rubbish. To go back to find cars in GTA that are based on real life hypercars that are actually good, the last one I can remember liking, you have to go back to 2022 and the Xeno. But for the last hypercar that was actually objectively good, you're going all the way back to 2019 and the Benefactor Krieger. So to have a brand new hypercar that's actually fast and that actually looks nice and is good to drive, I'm bordering on saying it's actually worth the 5 million. Because I'm not just talking about fast cars here. I'm not just talking about fast HSW cars like the Banshee and the Niobe. Both of those are faster than this. I'm talking about cars that are based on real life hypercars, the really super flash stuff. It's a long time since we had a good one, and this is just that. It is a good one. The handling takes a little bit of getting used to. The car itself, I think, feels a little bit heavy, so you kind of have to manhandle it a little bit, which does kind of marry with the whole analog approach. Oh dear. But it does mean you do that a little bit more often than you'd like to. And again, with the analog approach, it is a little bit tail happy, so the back will swing out quite a lot, but not in an uncontrollable way. Of all the super fast HSW cars, that's right up there, or this is right up there with the Banshee GTS in terms of being controllable and drivable. Much more drivable than the Niobe. Probably not quite up to the Banshee, but still really good. And as we come over here, you can see the lap time we've done is a 7:26 with a rather scruffy lap. So I'd say this easily has a 7:15 in it. That is a really quick car. That makes it one of the fastest cars in the game. It's also a really pretty car. It's got nice customization. It's nice to drive. I wanted to hate this thing. I wanted to hate everything about it, but I just don't. I think it's really, really good. I think it's really worth your money. Is it worth stumping up for a month of GTA Plus though? I'm gonna have to say no on that. I don't think it's worth a month of GTA Plus. Not a month of, not of your real money. Your in-game money, absolutely go for it. But real money, I would say not. So I hope that was useful. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.